Hello. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Thanks for hopping on this morning. I'm going to be just a few minutes with you today, doing a series of videos, and I'm talking about the top 5 barriers when that affect women when they're getting ready to change to a new career. So, going to give people a few moments to pop on. And if this is your first time seeing me, I'm Dr. Twanna Carter, career transition coach, and I am based in the United States on the East Coast, although I have clients in the United States and outside the United States. And what do I do as a career transition coach? I help high achieving women who are experiencing a little fear and anxiety about transitioning to a new career. I help them overcome that fear and anxiety, right, by recognizing and communicating their unique value and by instilling a deep sense of belief in their own strengths and abilities, right? So I do appreciate you for hopping on. And so just a little bit of disclosure, I'm coming on 3 different platforms today. So some of you will see me on Facebook. Welcome. Some of you will see me on LinkedIn. Welcome to you as well. Welcome. And some of you will see me on YouTube. So again, I appreciate all of you for being here and welcome. And for those of you who do catch the replay, I'm always grateful when you catch the replay. Thank you for that. And so as you're hopping on live, drop a hashtag live and let me know that you can hear me. That's always important, right? That you can definitely hear me. I would appreciate that. And for those of you who catch me on the replay, do drop hashtag replay and everybody let me know where you're hopping on from. Right. And so I'm going to pop over. You can make comments and questions during the live. And I know that there are a couple of places where, I may not be able to answer you on the live, but I always circle back through all the platforms to answer questions. So even if you catch me on the replay, ask your questions. I'll pop in and answer those, right? So without further ado, again, I'm talking today about the top 5 barriers that affect women as you're getting ready to transition into a new career. Now, I've already done number 1. If you want a link to that video, drop me a message and say, hey, video number 1, and let me know you're interested in that first video, right? So without further ado, I want to go ahead and talk because many of us through COVID, and some of us just for a while, we felt this way. We've kind of wanted to transition our careers, and that can get a little sticky depending on who you are. Sometimes we are in a career field because it's a family business or it's a family career, or mom and dad said, this is what you're going to do. So you go ahead and do it. You've gotten into that career and you've done well in it. You're successful, but you're like yearning to do something that really aligns with your passion. And oftentimes when women think about transitioning career, we often line up all the things we can't do, what we don't have, and how hard it's going to be. And so my purpose in doing this series is I'll identify the top barriers, but we'll also talk about what they are and then how to get around them so you can transition to the career that does align with your passion and your purpose. So the number 1, this is the second topic here we're talking about. A lot of women don't know how to translate their current skills into the new career path, right? That's a big barrier. I've been here 15 years, 10 years, 20 years. Who's going to hire me in another career to do something totally different? And when you get that mindset, a lot of women just stay stuck. They want to move, but they're like, I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to give you my 5 tips, and actually I have 6. I said 5, well, I'm going to give you an extra tip about how do you get over that barrier? How do you translate your new skills into a new career path, right? And if you want to know my qualifications, well, how would you know? I've done 11 career transitions now. My 11th one was to what I do now. I transitioned from a 6-figure job into full-time entrepreneurship. But going into entrepreneurship is a transition. It's a career transition that counts. So before this one, I've done 10 other successful transitions, right? Or let me say 9, because that first one out of the gate wasn't really good. Okay. That's why I landed up here doing this. I transitioned from the military. I got it totally wrong. I totally messed it up. I ended up taking a job that was making half the money I've been making before, and I fell into poverty. And it took me a number of years to work my way back out of that poverty from that one wrong career transition. And so, my job here, what I want to do is prevent that. I don't want to see anyone else transition into the wrong career path. It's either wrong for you, or you end up making so much less money that you end up in poverty, or your financial stability is put in jeopardy because you've made the wrong career transition. So that's how I got here. And it's a little bit about my story, right? So number one, if you're working on how do I translate my skills, first thing to do is get a list of every single job you've ever held, all of them, right? And even the jobs that you didn't like that you had, yes, list all of those jobs. Just list them down. Like when I did this, I was surprised. I have 41 jobs, right? Over 10 different career fields, 41 jobs. But you want to list every single job down, and it's important. And after you've listed those jobs down, right? Number two, your second step is to arrange the jobs in the order of the most fulfilling, the ones you enjoyed the most. Still keep the ones you didn't like so much, you didn't as much enjoy, but they should be on the bottom of that list, right? And so why in the world are we keeping jobs we don't like? Because you no likely gained transferable skills when you were doing the job. Even the jobs that you don't like, you have transferable skills, and they may come in handy. They really may come in handy, right? So two, write down a list of every job you ever held. Step one. Step two, arrange them in order of what was most fulfilling, meaning that the jobs you didn't quite care that much about or you just absolutely hate it should be on the bottom of that list, right? Step three, I want you to compare and contrast skills. Look at the things that you like as well as the things that you didn't like. What was similar? What was different, right? For me, I noticed when I did this that it didn't matter what job I had. I was always helping people in careers. When I was a second lieutenant in the Army, just joining, I started off helping people, my soldiers, make career decisions. It started out of the gate for me. I didn't know that until I did this exercise, right? Even when I taught school, I spent time. I went to local businesses and I had them come into my high school classrooms and my middle school classrooms and do career days where they talked about careers, being chemical engineers and those sorts of things. And I was teaching. When I became a health inspector, I still help people find jobs. So that's the one thing that I noticed was fairly common, a common thread through my jobs. And what makes sense, I'm a career transition coach. So that's why I got here. That's part of the reason how I got here, right? So number four, step three was comparing and in contrast what you like, what you didn't like, what you really enjoyed, those skills. Like you're like, yeah, I really like to do this. Put a marker by those skills, but don't discount the other ones because they'll come in handy, right? Step number four is where you analyze all the steps. And I know this is a bit of work. I got some hot apple cider, so I'm going to give you a second to think about how many jobs you've had and how many skills you write down. Yeah, it may be a bit of work, but it's worth it, right? This is worth it because again, you're wanting to know how to translate skills you already have into a new career field. This is a path to do it. So yes, four is analyzing all of your list of skills, right? And you will also in step five, if you have gaps, right? And you know the career field you want to go to, step 4 and 5 is where you really hone in. Because if you've looked at the position descriptions for the new career path you want to go on, and you've now analyzed, what you bring to the table, step 5 is about filling in the gaps, right? Fill in the gaps. I have all these great and wonderful these transferable skills, but this job says I have to do this and this and this and this. Well, now you know your gaps, right? And step 5 is fill in the gaps. Just fill in the gaps. You know what they are. Go and get those skills. Now, here's something I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Sometimes people think if I haven't done a skill on a job, it's not a skill. Not true. If you've taken training, if you've taken courses, if you got certifications and you studied and got certifications in those skills or did those courses, they count. You know how to do those skills, they count. So that's part of the way you fill in the gap. When you're talking about, I have these gaps, I don't know how to do this. Take a class. There are people who even take leave and do job shadowing. If you are in a position to do that, hey, take a week's worth of leave and go job shadowing in the position you want to move to, right? You can actually do that and gain valuable skills so that you can come back. And this is my bonus in step 6, right? You will come back and update your resume, update your cover letters, and update your interview stories with the new skills. So I'm going to go back a little bit to step 5 because I have some more stuff to fill in there. So job shadowing is one way that you can gain the new skills, right? Doing a certification in the new field, very possible. I've done that multiple times. That's why I was able to career transition to 10 different fields, because I do have a lot of certifications in those fields. And it basically, when you do that, it shows that new hiring manager or that new recruiter that you're very serious in your career transition. You've already taken the steps to do the things to fill in the gaps in that new field, right? And so what are some of the career transitions that I made? I left active duty military and I was a science teacher, right? That was based upon transferable skills. I taught soldiers in the military. So I made the case that I can teach students in the classroom. I bounced back to my degree in zoology with a minor in chemistry and said, hey, I have all this science. I have more science. At the time, I have more science than any biology teacher who's teaching, except for another biology teacher who, like me, transferred from a zoology degree and somewhere else into teaching. So that was 2. I taught soldiers, transferable skill. I already had a degree in zoology, so those were transferable skills. Had I ever taught in a school setting? No. Did they hire me as a teacher? Absolutely. Did I have gaps to fill? Absolutely. But they let me teach and fill the gaps. I had to become certified, right? So now becoming a teacher is more detailed than it was when I did that, but you can do that. And I know people who are looking to transfer into teaching, right? But there are also teachers who are looking to transfer out of teaching. Same process. 1, identify every job you've had. 2, list the skills in every single job you've had. Every skill that you've done in all of those jobs, right? 3, compare and contrast. What did you like? What did you not like? What was a common thread that you love to do? All of that stuff in step 3. Step 4, analyze your transferable skills that you just identified against the new career field. What do they say you need? You should find quite a few transferable skills that you already have that they say they need. And if you're struggling to find out what they need, pull up position descriptions, pull up job advertisements. That's where you'll find it, right? They're going to tell you this skill, prefer this, would like that, right? And 5, 4, you analyze those skills. 5, fill in the gaps, because when you analyze your transferable skills and you find gaps, just fill it in. Sometimes you don't find gaps. If you don't find any gaps, you are ready to go and transfer to that job. Start applying, right? Just start applying. Just make sure you've updated that resume, which is, step 6. Update the resume, update your cover letter, and update your interview stories to showcase your transferable skills, right? It is just that simple. I gave you a couple of ways. If you find some gaps, you may need to get certified. I know as a teacher, I did. I had 2 years. I took 2 years of courses to get certified to teach. So while I had the zoology, the biology background, and I had the background of teaching, I didn't have education theory, but they allowed me to work and go 2 years to get that certification. You never know when that may happen, right? You just have to do the research to find that out, right? So if you're joining me late, I have talked with you about the 5, actually I said 5 ways, I actually gave you 6, right? My 6 tips on how to transfer what you do now into a new career field. 1, write down a list of every job you've ever held, even volunteer work, that counts. You don't have to be paid. Volunteer work counts. 2, arrange them in order. of what was most fulfilling and what wasn't, right? And then you write down all the transferable skills for all those jobs. 3, compare the transferable skills. What did you like? What did you not like? What's common? What do you find across all the, no matter what job you have, what's kind of common across all those jobs? For me, it was career coaching, telling people, helping them find out the best careers for them, what matched their skills is something that I just did. It was just it was natural for me to do, right? So if you find some things that are common across those skills, put a check mark by those. That's important, right? So 4, you're going to analyze all of your transferable skills against the career path, the new one that you want to take. When you do that, you should find gaps if there are any. Step 5, just fill in your gaps. Some people, take leave and do a job shadow. You may need to do job shadow within your particular job if you're trying to get a job in another position. That can happen. Check it out. You never know until you ask. You may need to take an online course or 2. Sometimes you got to do like I did. I had to take 2 years worth, but it was all worth it for me to do that career transition, right? You can do informational interviews. So talk to people if you're still not quite sure of specific details about what a job does. Use your network and set up informational interviews. Those are really helpful, right? And then 5, you're talking about filling the gaps. 6, update that resume, update your cover letter, update your interview stories. Notify your network that you are now transitioning your career so that they can give you warm leads to apply for jobs. It is always better to apply for a job with a warm lead versus a cold lead, right? But you now know how to translate those skills. And I dare say you probably will be fairly surprised by the lists of transferable skills you already have. Career transition doesn't have to be hard. It is not always going to be short. Again, you look at mine, I got the job, but it took 2 years to get that training. So sometimes you can. It may take you a while to prepare for a career transition. But I've had other transitions where I already had the transferable skills. I literally updated the resume, talked to my network, got those warm leads in there, got referred, talked to people, and I just applied for the job and got the job, right? So these are the 5, well, you got an extra bonus, 6 steps that you can use to translate your current skills to a new career path, right? So if you are getting ready to transfer, if you're at that point and you still, want a little bit of extra when you're talking about discovering your strengths and your skills so that you can prepare to get that, get a job in a new career field, drop me a message, drop #strengths, send me a message with that, and I'll send you a free PDF, discover your strengths so that you can transfer to a new career. This has been Twanna Carter. I do appreciate you watching. Any questions and comments? Do let me know. I'm going to look. Let's see. So Carol says, thank you for sharing. Oh, Carol says yes. And thank you. So LinkedIn user says, thank you for sharing this. I just shared with my students about how to re-envision their course assignments. Yes, in preparation for employment. Absolutely. Learning how to transition their skills to different work environments and the language that may be called to use. Absolutely. Absolutely. I left teaching and became a health inspector. Again, no experience being a health inspector, 0. However, in the military, I used to go down to my subordinate units and I had to inspect their records. I was an adjutant, a personnel officer, and I had to inspect their records. So I made the case that I've done this before. I've inspected subordinate units. I've done that before. I had to write up reports and I had to give the feedback and I had to do it in a manner that was not antagonistic. Of course, being a health inspector is kind of hard to do, but I made that case for that, right? And I leaned back again on my zoology degree. I was like, I have a major in biology, in zoology. I've had immunology. I've had microbiology, and I've had all these courses that link to being a health inspector. And I got that job. Now, I will say that it took a year, maybe a year and 2 months to get that position. I had everything it took, but it was a county level job. It was a long hiring process. So yes, career transitions can take a year or 2, but that's why I say it doesn't have to be hard. Sometimes people think when they hear career transition, it's quit your job right now. and start transitioning or start looking for a job. No, no, no. It's prepare yourself, preparing yourself for it. The longest career transition I had outside of teaching was to what I do now as a full-time entrepreneur. I started that journey in June 2018, and then in February 2021 I made that career transition. So it is possible. You have to use that network, know yourself, be aware of yourself, and don't be afraid to ask for help. It's okay. That was my biggest downfall. I told you I've had 11 career transitions, and one was like really bad. That first one, I never asked for help. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't ask for help, and I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. I'll be honest with you. I just wanted to get out of the military, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. Three fatal. Those will not knowing those things will cause you to have a failed career transition, right? But if you take these 6 steps that I just gave you, it really does put you on the road in the right direction. So LinkedIn user said, this is great. Thank you. You are so welcome. Again, thank you for joining me live. And those of you who hear this and you're like, yeah, I get that, but I think I'm going to need a little help. Just drop a message to me. You can drop a message to me on Facebook. I know some of you are seeing this on Facebook. On LinkedIn, message me on LinkedIn, and on YouTube, drop a comment, and I'll circle back. I always circle back to my videos, even after, I'm not live anymore, because I know people have comments, and I do answer those comments. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.